Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we have a bit of a different one. I purchased a lot of comic books, and in today's video I'm going to go through, tell you guys how much I spent, how many comics I got. I literally just finished listing every single one of them now, and we have already started to get some sales. So I want to show you guys through how I list them, how I package them up to ship them, and just kind of give you guys all the information on this comic bundle that I bought. Now, actually, just about an hour before I started recording, we just got another sale. You can see it down there. That was the last one, the Jonathan Hex. So we will go ahead and package that one up. But here is the original listing that I bought. So all it says is comic collection. This guy has over 400 comics from the 70s and 80s. This is all I had. This is all I had to go off of. I was really excited when I saw this, though, because I saw some Star Wars, Batman, like I saw a variety of stuff. And the fact that he said over 400 comics was amazing. Now, if I go and remove the camera, you guys can see he was asking $350. And I didn't really know how much I should be paying for this, but I knew $350 was quite a bit. So I went ahead and sent him an offer for just $250, and he accepted it right away. So it says over 400 comics. I ended up getting 444 comics. So we go and take $250 divided by 444 gives us 56 cents per comic book. So we ended up getting an absolutely great deal. So before I actually show you guys some of the sold listings, let's look at some of the more expensive ones that we have already listed. So like I said, I got every single one listed. We had 444 individual comics, but I did list some as lots. So I did, most of the lots are because they're full sets. So like this one of Tarzan, this is issues 1 through 29, the entire set. They only made 29 issues. I have every single one of them. I listed this at $115, which actually isn't all that much. If you went ahead and took the 115 divided by the 29 issues, we're not even charging $4 a book, which is pretty cheap, but the conditions really vary. And this is why I'm gonna try this lot thing out. But I'm not 100% sure, because if someone was a collector and they wanted to get all of them in really good condition, this probably isn't the best way to go and buy them. Some of them are in very fine condition, some of them are in good condition. So I'm not 100% sure. We're going to try this for a couple months. If they don't sell, then we'll list them individually. Blade Runner, we also put in a lot. There was only 2 issues. Both of them are in very fine plus condition. So I think this is like the perfect example of when you should go ahead and lot comics up. We listed this one for $60, which is great. There's not that many listed or even sold listings to go off of. Same here. We have Eric, Son of Thunder, issues 1 through 26 lot. Same issues as the Tarzan ones. The conditions vary. We also have Submariner. This one actually is a quite expensive comic, $40. This one was one of the Golden Age comics that I had. Same with Detective Comics, another Golden Age comic. Or sorry, this one isn't. Sorry, it was just the My Greatest Adventure was a Golden Age one. But we do have some more expensive ones. Now, this is obviously, I'm sorting by most expensive to cheapest. We did list a lot of them at my floor price, which was $4.99. I don't want to go and list anything less than $4.99. This one I actually did do $3.99 just because it was in poor condition. But all these other ones are listed at $4.99, even though some of them are in really, really good condition. Sorry, that was Archie Comics that I listed a long time ago. Some of them are in really, really good condition. This Green Hornet, very fine, near mint. But this was published in 2018. I didn't have very many new comics. This was one of them. But yeah, this was like a brand new comic, so I couldn't really list it for that much money, even though it was in great, great condition. Now let's take a look at the sold listings. So here, products purchased isn't going to say 444 because of the lots, but our total spent was $250, like I said. We've already had a gross income of $174, but what really matters is this total payout. We've had a total payout of $69.50, and we actually have one more comic to go ahead and package up as well. But if we take a look at the recently sold, we have 16 sales so far, and actually just a few days in, I think it was 3 days or maybe 4 days after listing the comics, I think I had maybe had 100 up. One buyer came ahead and bought 11 comics all in one, which was awesome because they saved a lot of money in shipping, and we got rid of a huge amount. I think it was at the time like 10% of our comic inventory we got rid of, because I only had 100 comics listed and he bought 11 of them. So that worked out great. You can see the sold for, but what you really want to look at is this net sale price. That's just how much profit we made on each. If we take a look, some of them did sell for pretty cheap. This was $2.69, way below what now is my floor price of $4.99. And the only reason why we actually profited money was because of the combined shipping. The cost to ship was only $1.37. It would have been a lot more if I was just selling one individually, because I obviously took the cost to ship and divided it across the 11 comics. But we did profit a little bit more on some of them. If we take a look here, 376, I think this was the most. This was one of the Conan ones, same thing, $1.37 to ship, but we did have a net return of $3.76. But the most expensive one they bought was $5.39, so it wasn't even a really expensive one. Just shortly after that, we did have a sale, I guess it was 4 days after. We had Marvel Team Up sell and Red Sonja sell. This one was a little bit more expensive. I still think it's actually the most expensive one I've sold yet, $11.96, plus obviously the shipping cost, but we ended up profiting $9.16 for this, which is awesome. That was perfect. If we take a look at some of the other ones, we did sell a few of them to the States. If we take this one, sold within a few hours, which was amazing. It did go to the States, so they paid $8.11 in shipping, which was calculated, so that's exactly what it cost me as well. And we still ended up profiting $3.46, even though you have an international fee. And also the final value fee is going to be a little bit more because you pay the fees on top of the shipping price. So because they paid more in shipping, we paid more in fees, but we still profited $3.46 on that one. So that is all the sales that we have. We actually have one more that we just got about an hour or two before I started filming this video. So let's go ahead and pack that up, and let me show you guys how I pack up the comics. So over here is where I keep all the comics, and today number 218 sold. So this is what I mean. This is how I have it set up. All of them are just numbered 1 through 405 there, and whenever one sells, I just grab the correct number. This one is in such good shape. Now, I marked this one as very fine plus, mainly because you can see there is a bit of a mark there, but you can only see when you're looking in the correct light. Other than that, this comic is just in such nice shape. So this is how we're going to go ahead and pack it up. So obviously it's already in a bag. It's also got a board there, but I have so much extra cardboard from all the Amazon packages that what I do is I go ahead and sandwich it between 2 more pieces of cardboard, and then I'm going to go ahead and tape that together like a sandwich. So now that that is all taped up, I go ahead and put it in a rigid envelope here. And the main reason why I don't use a box for these is because this one is actually being shipped within Canada. And for it to go and qualify for letter mail shipping, which is just so much cheaper, it has to go and fit within this little slot here. So it can only be 2 centimeters thick. And even with all of this cardboard and this envelope, it fits in there just fine. So this one is ready to go, coming in at just under 200 grams, which is a little bit over 7 ounces. This one is ready. So to ship this within Canada, because this is staying within Canada, it is going to cost me $4.50, and the buyer paid $4.99. So that'll help me cover some of the shipping expenses like the envelope and the board and the bag. But if this was going to the States, anywhere in the States, if it's Puerto Rico, Florida, California, it doesn't matter. It would cost me $8.11. So I want to go and take you guys through my process of how I list the comics. Now, over here, we have every single comic scanned, and I found this worked really, really well. So I think I listed about 50 or so first, scanning and then listing, scanning, listing, and it just wasn't very efficient. So for the next like 350 or so, I went ahead and just sat at the scanner, scanned every single one, put every single one in the comic book bag, and put a board in it as well. And now I'm going to show you guys how I list them. So on the right hand side here, this is the website that I use to basically get an idea of what I should list it for, a dollar amount. Now going on eBay is also a good idea. I do double check, especially if it's a more expensive one. I'll double check with eBay, but this searches a lot more than eBay, and I've actually heard that it uses like physical stores as well to compare prices. But if we go on eBay, obviously you don't want to look at the active listing price. You want to go down to sold items. And now for this one, it may be okay. You can see some results, but for a lot of the comics, especially like the Golden Age ones, there's just not that many sales in the last 90 days. But if we look here, we can see some of them, but results matching fewer words. So already we're getting some results that aren't the exact comic that I am trying to list. So that's what makes cover price really nice, is it shows you everything, and it shows you, depending on the grade, how much you should list it for. It shows you the last sale. And then obviously for slab comics, have any slabbed, but it also shows you the total recorded sales. That's important as well, because there are variants. This one doesn't have a variant, but some of them are either Canadian pricing or newsstand. So basically they have the barcode. They weren't sold directly. It wasn't like a subscription service. You actually bought it at a newsstand, and those can vary in price. But looking at the total recorded sales is important to see if these prices are accurate. I mean, if there's 10 sales and it's showing you a bunch of prices down here, obviously you're not going to want to go and follow that, but 333 sales here, it means that these are pretty accurate prices. So here, what I'll do is I will click sell one like this. Not that I'm going to use a lot of the information, but just some of the item specifics. It's nice if it's already filled in, but I changed the title, upload my own photos, pretty much change a lot of this, but it's just nice sometimes to go ahead and have some of these already pre-filled. So let's go like this. Let's drag these two comics in there. And then while those are being uploaded, I like to go ahead and take a look and see what the condition is looking like. So overall, the condition isn't bad. Unfortunately, there is some writing on it, which is going to affect it quite a bit. The spine does have a few little nicks there, but overall, like there's no like rips in it. There's no big creases or anything like that. So overall, this one's in pretty good condition besides this bit of writing there. I also take a look at the comic itself to see if any of the pages are really yellowed, or like one I had, it was completely missing some pages. So all the pages in here look to be in pretty good shape. I don't look at every single one, just kind of flip through, look at the front and look at the back, and you can get an idea of the condition inside. I also found that cropping the image makes it look a lot blurrier. So obviously when you're uploading it, eBay has its own compression and stuff like that. So the photo's not going to look as clear as, you know, this image, this scan. But I did find, like at the beginning, I would go ahead and crop it so it looked as good as possible. But when I did that, the image became a lot blurrier and just didn't look nearly as good. So we're going to go ahead and just leave it uncropped. And then people can go and use the zoom feature when they're actually looking at it to get a better look at the corners and stuff like that. For the title, what I do is I just go ahead and copy this and paste it there, and then I remove issue, and then here I put the author, like the comic group. So this will either be Marvel or DC. In this case it's Seaboard, and then I also go ahead and put the year that it was published, like that. And then after here is when I would put the variant. So if it's a newsstand one, I would go ahead and type newsstand there, but this one isn't. So we're not going to put anything there, and we're just going to go ahead and write the condition. So the condition is important, but what's even more important is having good quality scans so the buyer can make their own conclusion of the condition. So in this case, I'm going to say it's fine, very fine. I would have gave it very fine, which would be an 8 out of 10 if it didn't have the writing on it. But because it does, I'm going to have to go and dock it a few points. So here you can see it ranges from poor at 0.5 all the way to gem mint. I haven't listed anything past very fine near mint, just because there's some stuff that you can't really see. I mean, if there's a little speck or something like that on the cover, that's going to go in docket points. So I don't list anything above a 9. But in this case, we did fine, very fine, which is a 7. I think I could have probably bumped it up to an 8, but again, it's a lot of personal opinion and how important is that that writing on the front. So if they were to get graded, this one would get docked quite a bit. But as a collector, I mean, it's probably fine. They're probably more looking for missing pages or pages ripped out, stuff like that. So in this case, fine, very fine, I think it's fair. And then for the SKU number, I just go and put COM for comic, and then I have number 357. I just number them. I know some people sort by Marvel and then sort by DC and stuff like that, but I find this to be the easiest. So when I get a sale and it, you know, number 115 sold, I go to the bucket and find number 150, and I find it very, very easy to go and do this. This is how I organize or skew all of my games now. All the Pokemon cards, all the hockey cards, all the postcards, everything is skewed like this going forward, because I just have so many duplicates. Like, I mean, I have actually 2 copies of Tales of Evil right here, so I don't know which one sold. And especially with games, it's like, I'm not going to go ahead and take a look at, you know, the condition of the disc to try to figure out which one was which, and just skewing it is very, very simple, and you don't have to go anything crazy, like I said, by sorting by Marvel and stuff. Just number it. And then for the item specifics, I do try to fill in as much stuff as I can. This frequently selected is pretty accurate, but some of the stuff, you know, like if we go to certification or professional grader, this one wasn't graded. Certification number, same thing. Features, I always go here and I put boarded, and then if it's a full set, I'll put full set, or if this one is actually issue number 1, so we can go first edition. And I don't know if it's a first printing. I don't know if this is reprinted or not. So I just kind of leave that one blank, or I just put those two. This one is not signed. It's not inscribed. It's not personalized, but it is vintage. And this is pretty much it. This is why I go ahead and use Sell Similar instead of creating my own listing every time, because a lot of this stuff was already filled in, which just makes this process even quicker. For item condition here, I think we're gonna go ahead and say this is very good. I think 7 is kind of my my lowest for very good. Remember, we gave this one fine, very fine. So if this one would have been a 6, I would just say good. And then normally like a 3 or a 4, I'll put acceptable, but I never put like new or brand new. Obviously, it's pretty much just these 3. And then for the condition description, I'd just say very good condition, see scans for details, boarded and bagged. And then I actually just go ahead and use AI description, and I copy my condition there and just again post it at the top of the description, just reinforcing again, look at the scans, don't just go off of what my grade was, make your own conclusion. So now when we're trying to determine a price, this one is a little difficult. You can see here that the last sale in very fine condition actually sold for 22 USD on February 11th, but on January 12th, a fine condition one sold for 8. Like, that is just such a massive price discrepancy. And because now we're a little bit more expensive, if we were around the $5 mark, I wouldn't spend too much time. I would just go ahead and list it. But because, you know, we could be looking at a really expensive comic here, I go back to the eBay sold listings and I take a look for myself. So these are all Canadian pricing. This is all American pricing, so it does get a little confusing. But you can see here in 8.0, again, don't take their grading to heart, because they could be, you know, they could have this one in front of them and they could say this is a 9, right? But this one sold for $28. This one sold for $31. This was February 11th. This was January 8th and January 5th. And now it's going to be a little bit harder to find ones that are, you know, the exact one we're looking at. This is, but very fine minus. So that's a 7.5, I believe. You can see sold for $16, $17. So the price is, you know, at the end of the day, up to us. So we look here, 22 USD, which is the last very fine sale, did go for $32 Canadian. And there is some here, right? Like this could be this is it right here. So on February 11th, this was the sale, which sold for $31. Don't look at the shipping price because that is shipping to me. This buyer could have been in the States or could have been free shipping. Just look at this sale price there. But for this one, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right in between the fair market value, not the last sale price, but the fair market value between these two, between fine and very fine. Even though ours is a 7, ours is in this very fine condition, we're going to go ahead and do 15 USD, which comes out to $21.79. So we're going to go ahead and list this one at $21.99 Canadian. Now for the shipping policy, I have this one up for comics. This does not require the buyer to have tracking. Within Canada, they can choose an untracked shipping option for $4.99. But if they are in the States, they have to get tracking. But for this one, because it's not insanely expensive, I normally draw the line around $40. This goes with games and movies and comics and stuff like that. Normally around $40, I would require everyone, even Canadians, to go ahead and buy tracking and insurance. But here we're just going to go and fill this in. It's typically about 200 grams, 30 centimeters long, 22 centimeters wide, and 2 centimeters tall. This is how I pack them. And then for advertising, so this varies a little bit. I do anywhere from 2 to 3%. For a comic like this, where it's a little bit more expensive, I am going to do 2%, which is the bare minimum. If it's a more common comic, or if I'm listing it for like $5, $6, I will go ahead and use a little bit higher, but like I said, 3 is normally the most I do. With games and movies, I think it's a little bit different because there's just so many people listing the same game as you. With the comics, it's a little bit different because yes, there is still quite a few people that are listing the comics here, but the condition matters so much. So it's like, this is a 6.0 is what this guy gave it. Mine's in better condition, so I'm not really competing with this guy. If the buyer wants a specific condition, that limits the results even more. Another thing is location. So if you're in the States selling, look at the shipping price to Canada. It is absolutely insane. This is what happens when you go ahead and use the international shipping hub. I'm not saying it's a bad idea to go and use it if you are an American seller, but what I am saying is it's extremely expensive for Canadians to go and buy your items. So already mine is actually cheaper if the guy is in Canada. Even though mine is listed at $21.99, mine is still cheaper than this guy's because it's $21.99 plus $5 in shipping. I am cheaper than this guy. So already, I mean, we don't really have to compete with Americans. Now, if it is a way more expensive one, obviously the shipping price isn't really going to come into play there. But sometimes I do Canada only to go ahead and get a better idea. But now, I mean, there's even less relevant results. You can see this guy listed for $36 with free shipping. So we're quite a bit cheaper than that guy. And I can't see another one right there, $46. But, you know, the further you go down, there's just none of the same comics. It is hard to go and find the exact one. So this is why I think advertising isn't really necessary. I do the minimum, right? 2%. I'm okay if it does sell through an advertised or through an advertising. I'll go and pay eBay the $1 or $2, whatever. But overall, I don't think you really need to go that much higher for this. And that is it. We're going to go ahead and click list it. Now, like I said, I do have an identical one that I am going to go and do. So in this case, we're going to go and click create similar listing. And we're going to do the process again. We're going to individually grade this one. I'm going to go and delete these photos and actually upload the next ones here so people are seeing the exact comic they're getting. I don't like doing multi-quantity, especially for something like this where condition just matters so much. I did notice this one actually does have the writing there as well. But if this one right here, for example, the last comic we listed didn't have this. So this is already at a lower grade, and I don't want someone to go ahead and buy it, assuming that this isn't there, and then they are disappointed when they get it. So I don't like doing multi-quantity for comics. Even for video games, I don't typically do multi-quantity because the condition of the disc matters so much that if it's scratched, you know, one is scratched, one isn't, it just doesn't make sense for me to go ahead and do multi-quantity. But that is the entire listing process. I know this section of the video was really, really long. It typically takes me about 2 minutes to go ahead and do that. Sometimes assessing the condition and getting a price takes a little bit longer, especially when it's a more expensive comic. I like to go and do spend a little bit more time. But my floor price, meaning the lowest that I'll go and list it, is $4.99. Now, this is just to go ahead and cover me in terms of the fees that I pay, right? I pay 13 or 12.5% fees on these. Also, all of my supplies, right? So I had to pay for the board, I had to pay for the bag, also I had to pay for the envelope. And especially if the buyer is in the States, they pay $8 in shipping. So I'm paying the 13% fees on the $8 they spent in shipping. So pretty much at this $4.99 list price, you can see here, this is a perfect example. So this one was listed at my floor price, but it sold during a sale. So on the weekends, I run 10% off. So this one sold during the sale. This one also sold through a promoted listing. So this is kind of the worst case scenario. We are going to walk away with $1.86 profit. But again, this is not including all of my supplies. So if we go and add everything up, I paid 10 cents for the bag for the comic, I paid 20 cents for the board for the comic, and I also pay 75 cents for the envelope that I ship it in. The cardboard that I use, I just use Amazon packages that I get. So right off the bat there, we are already down to 81 cents profit on this. So this is why this is the minimum price that I charge, right? If I go and charge any less than this, I am losing money, which is obviously not the case here. So there is some that I do list for my floor price, but a lot of them do get listed for more. Thank you guys so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe so you guys don't miss any more videos in the future. I've already contacted the guy that I bought this from, and he said he does have more comics, so we may be buying even more very shortly. I wanted to go ahead and make a little bit more money back. Again, we've invested $250 plus we bought a bunch of boards and bags for them. So we are in pretty deep, but if he does have more, I don't know if I can say no. I am really, really excited. We've sold 17 already, which is just amazing. We're selling more than one a day right now on average, which is just amazing. And I'm looking forward to the next couple weeks to see how many more we can sell and if we can sell one of our more expensive $20, $30, $50 comics. But thank you guys so much, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.